watching, this will be recorded. So in case you want to do this recipe later on, you're welcome to. I'll turn it into a YouTube video, and then we'll post that around the world for you to find it. So today, quickly, is a potato bean salad with avocado and jalapeno dressing. I think the second part of that is where the money is, right? Potatoes, beans. We hear that all day long. We do potatoes and beans, but it's what do we put on top of them that's going to make all the difference. So I have this itch in my back that doesn't want to go away. So here's what I've done. I started some things already, right? So the potatoes have been baking in the oven. They've got about 5 more minutes. That's the 2 pounds of baked potatoes cut into 2-inch chunks. And then what it calls for is that's going to come out after 25 minutes. They're going to look amazing. And then what we do is we take the beans. So, what I did is I took my potatoes, I cut them down, and what the recipe calls for, which you might see the link. I'll make sure you have a copy of this recipe. But what it calls for is that you put the potatoes and you drizzle the oil. I'm not a fan of that because I just feel like some potatoes get left out, right? Well, if you're drizzling and some potatoes are like, hey, what about me? And then you just go flying right by with the oil and they never get oil on them. Well, that's not fair. So I put my potatoes into a bowl and then I stir it up. I'm careful with the, look at that guy trying to escape. That's one of the beauties of cooking with plants, right? That beans are trying to escape, I just ate it. Now the leftover oil that's in the walls of this bowl is now where the beans went to, right? So it calls for putting the beans in the leftover oil. And that's what I did. I put it in the bowl, stirred up the string beans, the beans that you've chosen. Beans can be multiple types of beans that you choose, right? It doesn't have to be, this one is, what is it? Green beans. Green beans. 1 pound or 450 grams of green beans. Those are waiting. So what's going to happen is the potato is going to come out. I'm going to show you those. So what those look like in about 3 minutes. And then the beans are going to go back in to finish off for about 10 minutes of the beans, where the potatoes will still get some more cooking done in the oven. And then while that's happening, that's where we're going to get into the money right here, making the dressing and with the beans. Now for me, the recipe calls for cannellini beans. Well, I didn't have any, but I had some other beans, right? And a friend of mine made this recipe and she had black beans, so she used black beans. I have northern, what are they called? Northern, northern bean, something. I've got those, so can you see that right there? So that's my northern beans that I'm using. Now here's the other thing. I'm not a huge fan of eating the bean whole. I'll do it like if it's in a burrito or something or whatever, but typically I like the bean smaller. So what I'm going to do in this, as I'm preparing with the dressing for the final touches of this thing, so I'm going to chop those beans down just a sliver, so they're in the less of a full-size bean. So with that said, and if you're watching this on a replay, again, I assume you've had the recipe. Maybe you've got the page in front of you. That's what I do. I've got the page sitting right here in front of me. And then what I should probably do is, if I hop on, people are messaging me, where are you? I'm going to check to make sure everything's working on the live side. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're fine over on Facebook. So if I just click over there real quick. Oh, hi, Angie. Yeah, just checking on that. Cool. So there's a little delay. So what I do is I basically go back and forth from Zoom. Like I can see Zoom. In Facebook, there's a little bit of delay. So here we go. So again, those have about less than 2 minutes for the potatoes to come out of there. While those are going, I'm getting all my ingredients for the dressing, right? So I've got my, going down the list, I got my avocado, I've got my vegan mayonnaise, I've got my chopped dill, I've got my olive oil, I've got my lime juice, I've got 1 clove of garlic. But here's the thing, look at that. How many of those you count? How many of those are there in my hand? That's right. There's 3 of them. They called for 1, but we like garlic. So if you like garlic, then add more garlic. If you hate garlic, then remove the garlic. Pretty simple. So we've got our garlic, and then we have our 1 jalapeno pepper, which we'll chop down as we make the dressing. So exciting. How are we doing? We're down to 28 seconds. Have some water nearby because you want to stay hydrated. Right? And then we're going to start making the dressing. But here's what I'm going to do. Where's my, here we go. I'm going to put the ingredients of the dressing. So we're going to blend it, right? If you have a food processor, great. You can use a food processor. I'm going to use our Vitamix. I'm going to use our blender. So all the ingredients need to go in there. I've got my blender here. Guess what? So let's take that out and see what they look like. All right, we'll cancel that. Oh, hey, that's a hot oven. Yeah, so I don't know, can you see that? Look at that. They are flipping perfect, and they still have about 10 minutes. Ooh, that glove is not protecting my hand enough. Now what it calls for is that you'd use the same sheet and you would just shove the potatoes aside. I don't like shoving. I don't like, when you're in the line, there's no shoving. There's no shoving here. So those potatoes are going to live right there. I might give them a little shimmy just to shake them up a little bit on the pan like that. But I have a separate pan. We got these cool little mini pan. So the beans, as you can see, they're going to have their own pan, right? You guys got your own little, it's like in Vegas. You got your own little cabana. You got your own cabana. And now it's important that this pan is cold. That one is hot. I made that mistake. So now it calls for it. We pulled that out. And then during the 10 or 15 minutes that the beans are going to go back in there, that's when we're going to come back to here and we're going to make the dressing together. So let me take my spatula and I'm just going to bounce these potatoes around. I'm just going to bop them on the head. Bop them on the head, make sure they don't get comfortable where they're sitting. Yeah, because, oh my gosh, some of them have browned and they're going to continue to brown perfectly. So I'll just give them a little bounce around, just so none of them are sticking to the bottom because, it's like skiing. Like you want to hit the right wax, right? If you got the right wax when you're skiing, like it's just money. So that's going to go back into the oven. And I love these little pans that Jen got because I can put them side by side, watch them together. Those are going to go in there. We hit timer, and let's go 12 minutes. Just to give it a nice little. All right, so we're 12 minutes in. So that gives us 12 minutes to make the dressing. Put that there. Now, when those come out, they're all going to go back into the same bowl. I'm not cleaning that, right? There's got some remnants of the seasoning and the salt and pepper and the green goddess. I don't need to clean that because they're going to go right back in there to cool off at the end, right? So let's start making dressing. So the dressing, we have 1 full avocado. Check this. Yeah, you take that little top off there. And it looks like that avocado, and you can always feel it, right? You can always feel it where you feel, yeah, it's perfect. It is so perfect. And now here's another tip I want to give you, right? So I sharpened this before. I sharpen it often, right? But if you haven't, you have to have a sharp knife. It just makes the life so much easier because if your knife is dull, it's going to, it's going to lead to cutting yourself, right? If it's super sharp, it's going to cut nice and smooth. But when it's dull, well, guess what? What you're going to do? You're going to press harder. That's just physics, I think, right? And then if it's hard, it's not super dull. It's dull, but it's dull enough where you're pushing harder, and then you're going to cut yourself. Now, what I like to do with the nut is I go, whack, I hit it right, and then I turn it, and it pops out nice and carefully. That also confirms to me that thing is ready. And I'm like, well, now what do? I got this like nut stuck on the end of my knife. So I take some other thing. I'm going to use this teaspoon later. So I go over to trash, pop that in there. And then I go back down. I'll grab a spoon and I'm just gonna extract all the meat from the avocado, because again, it calls for 1 avocado. So I'm gonna take my spoon and I am just going to shave all of that. But you gotta be careful. Like right there, I think I left a little bit of the root or whatever you call that. Oh, you stay right over there. Did I get it? All right, we got it all up there. Now let's get the other half. So what I do is I take my spoon right there and I start it right there. So I go just short of where that where that little, what do you call that thing? Where the avocado attached to the tree at one time. I go just short of that so I don't pick any of that up, because there's nothing worse than cooking with avocados and it goes into your dish and you get oh man, that spoon, that just came out of there perfect, which again tells me that the avocado is spot on and ready. Okay, so I've got my avocado, half a cup of mayonnaise. Here's another tip I want to give. So I've got my dill and the mayonnaise. Now before I want to measure out the dill first, right? Because I only have one of these. I've got a half a cup container, measuring cup. Let's slide the avocado over there. You guys over there. I'm going to do the dill first to fill up, because it calls for a half a cup, right? Half a cup of chopped dill. I'm going to put that in there first, and then this is going to go into the blender, right? So imagine, right? If I did the mayo first and put half a cup in there, scraped it off, and I got to scrape it off. Well, now the inside of this is it's all yuck. It's all yuck with mayo, right? And then you put the dill on top of that, which then creates glue. So then you have like dill glued to the side of the inside of your measuring cup. So we do, even though the recipe, it has mayonnaise listed first. So I should probably flip that, right? Like even these little tips, that should be in the book. So I'm going to tear away some dill, and it calls for a lot. So the stem is going to go to the side. Look at that, beautiful. That's dill. That is definitely dill. I definitely picked up the right, what do you call these things? Herbs. I definitely picked up the right herb at the store. So I'm just going to tear away. Some of them have little mini branches left in there. I'm not going to sweat that too much, because this is going to be chopped down. This is going to be chopped down. And I'm getting close to what I think might be a half a cup. Probably could, I mean, before I chop it, I guess I could do this, right? I could take my measuring, I can dump that in there, squeeze it in there. Of course, once you chop it down, it's going to take up less space, but all right, so that's not quite to a half a cup. So let's go get some more. Here's another branch of dill, which we're excited that the house that we're now here in Nashville has some dill growing in the backyard in the garden. So we'll be able to tap into that, because there's nothing like growing your own plants and then using them for cooking. All right, and then we got there. I thought about putting music on for you guys while we're doing this, but I don't think Facebook likes that. They would probably turn this off. Okay, so now just measuring there. So I'm pretty, that's pretty good. Half a cup. Now I go back to there. Oh, look at that. Nice and dry still, right? So that's going to set aside. And now there's a little bit of branch. That's a little bit too thick of a branch. And now here's the other tip. I always share this. Right there. See, I'm holding that knife right there. There's my finger there. There's my thumb underneath. That's how I control the knife. So one time I was here, and then an executive chef taught me. Oh, I almost hit that light. In New York City, I was like this. He's like, no, this is how you hold the knife right there, and then the other fingers wrap around, and then boom, and you have it. It gives you, if you get used to it, which it might take a little bit of time getting used to, it gives you better control of the blade. Right, and then can you see? Oh yeah, you can see that pretty good in the camera there. So look at that, right? So these fingers rest on top of the blade. This one is a motor, right? And then this one just controls so the blade doesn't go sideways as I go down, right? So it's here, And you can get as fancy as you want, right? You can be, look at that. It's just top down to nothing. It's just perfect, perfect deal. Right there, right there. Oh my God, look at that. Looks like I could like, put it in paper and smoke it today. Nope, separate, separate show, separate show. All right, calm down, right here. So now I'm going to take that. I'm going to dump it in there. See, I knew it. So that's always a question that I have, right? So now I've dumped what I've chopped down into my half a cup, and that's now like a quarter of a cup, right? Before I chopped it down, well, it filled up, it filled up the entire cup. So that's always a question that I have, and there's probably some really smart culinary people out there that I could ask. They're certainly not going to watch my show, or maybe they would, just to see my muscles and see what plants do for my muscles, because that's what this is all about, right? I want to create a bunch of videos. What's up, Liv? My dog is looking at me like, are you forgetting about me? She looking at me like, who are you talking to? You wanted to come over here and say hello, everybody? You can come over here. I think they can see you over here. Yeah, there's Liv. There's our black lab. Liv. Yeah, that's dill. You want to smell dill? You smell that? Yeah, no, you don't like that, do you? No. Okay, so let's chop off the rest of that. How are we doing our timer? We have 3 minutes left. Come on, come on. Gotta pick up the pace a little bit. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do for the dill. I might be shortchanging myself, but again, I gotta figure it out. I have a feeling that should be full to the brim with the dill after it's chopped. Like it should say, is that pre-chopped or post-chopped? Well, it does say half a cup of chopped dill, which tells me that I need to put more in there. So as I read my own recipe from my book, which I put a link in here to one of my, I think to my June. You could always check that out if you wanted to get one. But this one is from this recipe. If I'm accurate, I'm pretty sure it's from my July book, which you probably wonder, well, why wouldn't he put this link? Well, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it fast enough. So what you have in the description, but if you want the recipe pack, or interested in buying it from me, okay, I want you to buy it from me, right? I give a lot of stuff away, but this one is you have to buy it. You got to spend money and you got to buy it. You got to pay me money to buy it. All right, because money is energy. Money is just energy. Money is a good thing. It's not evil. You can make it evil if you want to, but you shouldn't. Money is just energy that allows you to do other things. Okay, now we're okay. Recipe call for chopped dill. This is the fun part, right? So can you see that? I make a line like that, right? And then I put the blade on one end and I go right down the line. Right, and I bring it back together and make one little line there. Stop down. How are we doing over there? Uh-oh, under 2 minutes. I'm talking too much. Okay, now we got a nice good half there. And now let's do this. Let's see, some of the 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So let's do that. Let's do 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I like doing the liquid first. 2 tablespoons of lime juice. I'll give it a little shake, make sure it's nice and mixed up in case it wasn't. And then we'll squeeze that in there. 1, 2. I don't mind if the extra little pieces or a little extra splashes, and it comes out a little bit more than 2 tablespoons or whatever. Not a big deal. Chopped garlic. Here comes the fun part again. So got some of that dill up on the blade. I'm not going to worry about that, right? The blade got a bunch of dill on it. So what? So I'm going to take my garlic and I'm going to carefully Now, if I really get detail with you actually ride that blade on your knuckles. So your fingers are, can you see that? They're like in that angle there. And your knuckle actually rides on the blade. Oh, you hear that? Can you guys hear that? That's the yeah, so look at that. I'm cutting the garlic and that little dill that was left on the blade is getting all over the garlic. Some people might be like, what a mess, what a mess. Let me turn that off. Take a peek. Goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Don't let that sit in there. While the oven turns off. All right, now I got that down. I'm gonna use my knife as a snow plow. I'm gonna pick up the snow, which is actually garlic. I'm just thinking snow because I'm always thinking about skiing. I got my chopped garlic, lime juice, olive oil. Let's throw the chopped dill. We'll chop the dill in there. Jalapeno pepper. One jalapeno pepper. I'm going to cut off the root at the end there. And I'm going to cut it open because I don't cook a lot with jalapenos, but I got a feeling that I don't want those seeds in there. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to gut it. I'm going to gut it and I'm going to remove all those seeds first. I'm pretty sure I don't want those in my dressing. All right, so another tip when you shovel things across the board, flip the knife over, use the other side, you have the thick side. Right? If you do that with the sharp side, thank you, Lauren, McDonald. If you do it with the sharp side, well, guess what? You're gonna wear out that blade faster. So that was a neat trick that because instinctively I wanted to go like this, I just want to go with the sharp side. But now I take a second, I take my time, I flip it over here, and I do it with the other side. And now my blade will last longer. Okay, so now I'm just being really careful not to cut my finger live on Facebook. See, it was so easy to go from this. I flip the blade over and now I create a little snow plow and my knife loves it because I've gained some more life of the sharp blade. All right, so there's a couple seeds right there. We'll keep it over there. And you know, I'll say again, there's like remnants of garlic on there. There's remnants of dill on there. What do I care? Right? It's all gonna be part of the happy family anyway. It's like Bob Ross. There's no, you know, when you're cooking with plants, there's no mistake because they're all going to be part of the same family. So there's just happy cuts and happy celebrations of being together with plants. Look at that. Now I've chopped jalapeno. One, right? It calls for one jalapeno pepper. This is gonna add that. I'm not typically big on jalapenos, but this is probably going to add that kick to it. And again, that might go back to you where you know, maybe you don't like jalapenos. So maybe you minimize them or you just eliminate them altogether and maybe put a different pepper right there. So that's going into there. And we're almost ready to blend our dressing up. We're going to take the, you know what, I got my avocado here. Can't forget those. It looks like something, oh, that's good. Salt and pepper. So I've got my salt and pepper shakers here. You know, it's really to taste. I'm just going to give it a little. I know a lot of you have to be careful with your sodium, so be careful with that. So I'm using a sea salt and ground up pepper, and then my avocados. I don't read to chop them really, but I'm going to chop them anyway because it maybe just makes it a little easier for the blender. But that's all going to go in there. And now the one thing I haven't done yet. So I'll go back to my list because if you're not careful, if you like, I kind of jumped up and down my list, right? Avocado, check. Mayonnaise. I forgot about the mayonnaise, right? I didn't forget, but that's my point, is to go down the list. The dill is in there, olive oil is in there, lime juice is in there, 1 clove of garlic, but we went with 3 because we like garlic. The jalapeno pepper is in there. And now I'm going to take this awesome little spatula. Look at that little baby little spatula. So I'm going to take that. I've got one. there. Oh, look at that. There's some dill left in there. Do I care? Of course not. Of course not. What is that? Oh, that's just a part of dill. And now I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to use it as a spoon. Now here I'll be careful, right? Because this spatula goes back into the jar for more mayo. Well, I don't want to take dill from the measuring cup and put it into my mayo jar. That I'll be careful with. So I'm here, I'm scraping off the side, scooping up. There, now I got a nice good half there. Now imagine we did the other way, right? If we did the mayo first and then the dill, that would be stupid. That would be silly. So now I got my cool little spatula there. And now I'm going to take that, I'm going to scoop that out and add that to all the ingredients here. Probably could have done this right into the blender, but the spatula is going to be really cool to get it completely out here. There, I'm all cleared off there. Now our dressing is ready to go into the blender, right? But I'm going to use my spatula still, set that aside. And now I bring my blender over, or whatever you're using for, if you're using one of those fancy Cuisinart things. So now I'm going to use my spatula. I'm going to let this all slide into the blender. And then you got to make sure that you really clean that blender out, because tomorrow morning shake could taste really funky if you don't. I'm not going to go, I don't think I'll like a chocolate dill mayo shake tomorrow morning. Okay, chopped off there. Now I'm going to set that there, but you guys know that you know, the stuff, the oven's been off. I'm going to take that stuff out of the oven if we want that cooling down. And then we have our beans, and we're just about done. So time is it? Yeah, cool. For about 30 minutes. We'll try and keep it about 30 minutes. And then let's take those out. Be beautiful. Be beautiful. Oh yeah, they're nice and hot. Right now, I don't care if they blend together. I put them right there, and now we're letting them cool down. But to quicken the cooling, I'm going to do this. There's my bowl, right? I got my bowl from before. I'm going to do that. Just break that down to there. Careful, that pan is still hot. And then there's the, I mean, those potatoes, can you guys see that? Look at that. Let me get that nice and close. That, oh, there, I just saw it. Oh, Jake, good call the camera. Look at that. It just focused in on that, and then I pull away, and then it focuses on something else. Yeah, perfect. We got a new camera for this very purpose. Okay, so I'm being careful. It's there. Combine my potatoes. I just smashed that with my thumb. That there. This potato trying to escape. And I'll put that there. And now I use my, oh, that just scared me. I just thought it was hot, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Now let me come around this way and show you guys what's happening. So I've got the potatoes and the beans in there in that same original bowl, right? I didn't clean it out because I didn't need to. And now I'm going to softly toss it, right? Those potatoes are, you know, they're baked down, so they're definitely softer and they're more manageable when you bite onto them. But now we're cooling, right? Now we're just going to let that, I'll toss that together, let that cool down. I'll get the top to my blender, because that would be crazy if that got all wacky. So I've got it plugged in, and I'm going to let that, oh, that's ready. I'll typically start off slow just to kind of get it blending. And I'll pick up the pace a little bit. I love our vitamins. Is probably the best investment we've had in our kitchen. Oh, look at that. It's a jalapeno. Just get it. Okay. Yep. That is good money right there. And then now I kind of, there's things I'm done with. I just thinking and kind of get them out of the way. Now, done with that. Going to the sink. And as I mentioned, so that's cooling off. Transfer potatoes into a large bowl. Allow it to cool for 5 minutes. And then add the cannellini beans. We did the other one. And toss with half of the dressing. So next up is going to be whether you want to keep your beans whole, like they are in this bowl here, As I mentioned earlier, I don't like whole beans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them down on my cutting board. I semi-drained them already. I didn't drain them fully, so I'm going to drain a little bit more, get some of that out of the peeling stuff, and okay, there it is. So I've got that drained pretty good. I'm going to dump all those onto my cutting board. Is that super loud? Feel that? Let me finish this up. Yeah, that is so good. Like I told you, I have enough fire. Oh my God. Yeah. All the dill, all everything is, the color on that is, you know, the color this is, I think it's the color that we're trying to do the island. You know, color? That is so good. Okay. Turned off. Okay, so we're good there. And as I mentioned, I'm just going to gently take my chef's knife and I'm just pressing gently. Now, some of the beans might mush, right? I'm not too concerned about that. But again, I'm doing this just because I don't particularly care for the full bean. But talk about protein. Talk about protein from plants right there. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I got stronger. I just got stronger. I just felt it. Just felt it. For all the plants that I keep eating, I always feel it. I always feel it, right? Like I work out during the week and it's hard. I'm sore. My muscles are sore. Then all of a sudden, click, stronger. Just like that. Did you see it? Because sometimes it's like a flash of light. And sometimes you don't. If you're not paying attention, you won't see it. But I'm half kidding. But that's what happens, right? As I'm doing this right now, we're in recovery. Like if you just had a hard workout yesterday, which I had a hard leg workout yesterday, right now as I'm just cooking, my muscles are repairing, right? When you work out and exercise, well, it's crazy. We break down the muscle. We actually tear them and then they repair themselves to be stronger. Kind of sounds like counterintuitive. Like, why would I injure myself? But that's what happens. So again, I haven't clean the blade down because I don't care if some little remnants of dill and garlic from the blade get into the beans. I don't care about that. I don't care about that because it's all plants, right? If I was working with animal protein, well then you obviously got to be really careful with that. And I like that I don't have to be careful with that anymore. Okay, so for some reason the wind keeps blowing down my deal here. So we've let this cool down. That's just about cool down. It's still going to have some warmth to it, right? I'm having a new bowl set. Like I like a big cooking bowl. This is too small. We got a nice big cooking bowl coming. So get yourself a nice big cooking bowl. Okay, so we've transferred the potatoes and the beans in a large bowl. We've allowed them to cool down, and now we add the cannellini beans and toss with half of the dressing, right? So if I pull my dressing out, I got to show you this. Let that zoom in. Let's see if that camera right there, boom. Let me turn it this way. You see that color? The color matches the green in that bicep right there. And you see that? Don't mind me. Oh, and it's just the viscosity is so perfect in there. I'll give it a little bit of shake. Oh, I wish you could smell that. I smell the dill and the lime and bada bing, boom. That bowl we're done with. That goes over there. I'm going to cut off here pretty soon because we're basically done. That pan is cooled off. I can grab that with a bare hand. Everything is cooled off. Now I'm going to add my beans to that. Again, now I'm taking the blade. Now sometimes I take the sharp side and I just kind of scoop under. I'm not really scraping the blade, right? But I'm going to take all the beans that have been partially chopped down to there, adding them to the bowl with a half cool potatoes and green beans. That's good there. And then it calls for and toss it with half of the dressing. So I've got that in there. So I've got to kind of figure out, okay, well, how do I get half of the dressing out of there? Right, I could kind of scrape that all out into one bowl and really see what that is. I'm not gonna sweat that too much. I've got my spatula. It still has, I don't know, still a little bit of drips of mayo on there and dill. I'm not gonna sweat that. I'm not gonna sweat having to clean it. I'm just gonna go in there and let's see if I can't kind of eyeball it. I'm gonna pour that in there. I'll show you this to you guys. I think that's about half. I may have screwed up on half of that, but let's bring that up so you can see. So I've got my beans, the potatoes and the green beans in there, and the dressing just went over top. And now I'm going to gently toss it with that dressing. There. I like to come from the bottom. Let's see right there. I like to take my spoon at the bottom and I got a scoop underneath and I bring things to the top of the bowl, and then gravity helps me, right? I go underneath, I draw the spoon to the top, and then gravity pulls everything back down the bottom. And now everything is getting covered really evenly. Oh, wow. Wow. Wow, does that smell good. So this is our dinner tonight, right? So now that is, let's take a look at that. Take a look at that so you can see that. See if that'll zoom in focus. Oh, boom. Did you see that focus? Right there. There it is, folks. There is your potato bean salad with avocado and jalapeno dressing. Right now, the extra, serve in a bowl with lime wedges and the remaining dressing on the side. The remaining dressing on the side, which I have in here, I'm going to scoop that out and put into a little serving bowl. And then people, if Jen or Jake want to take a little extra, well, they can, there's a guy doing some work here right now. I think I'm going to give him a little to-go container. That's it. Love that. I'm glad I just thought of that. Not sure why I'm whispering that, but so I have my lime, right? So I'm going to take my lime. See, that knife was so sharp right there. It just so easily cut through that lime there. So now when I serve this up to the fam, they're going to have their little lime wedges where they can now use that to squeeze on it, which I'm going to encourage because that's part of the whole experience of a lime. So they'll have that in a little bowl to be able to squeeze onto there, and then boom. Okay, and then lastly, so that's basically it. You know what? I'll taste it. I'll taste it before I let you guys go. I'll put a little bit in a little mini bowl just to taste it, just to make sure it's okay. So right there, I just put a little bit in a bowl, just some potato, some green beans, some beans, just a touch. I didn't let it focus in time. And then I'm going to take my little lime wedge. I'm going to take that, a little bit of squeeze of lime on there. Is that a, nope, good. I'll give it a little spin around. And then my bite is going to have, I want to make sure I have a bean, a cannellini bean, and a potato all in one bite. Oh, tricky trying to get one of each on there. Hang on. Oh. Kitchen towel drop. You get that? Kitchen towel drop. That tastes great. That tastes great. So, cook time 40 minutes, prep time 10 minutes. Total calories in a serving 588. Fat grams 35, carbs 67, protein 10 grams per serving, fiber 10 grams. That comes on every one of my meal recipes. You're going to get the breakdown, and you also, let me show you real quick. If you use MyFitnessPal, you see that right there? There, see how it focused in? That right there is a barcode. So if you use MyFitnessPal and you have one of my recipes, you basically open up your FitnessPal app, you hit that barcode in your app, and boom, all that information I just gave you uploads into your MyFitnessPal. I'm not associated with MyFitnessPal, by the way. I just happen to have it's just so easy to have their barcode on there. So I'm not affiliated with MyFitnessPal, although maybe I should be. So if you know somebody in MyFitnessPal, you tell them I just gave them a shout out about their barcode in my recipe pack. That's basically it. I can't wait to serve this up for the family tonight, because that's what it's all about, right? Certain family style dinner tonight. I'm going to take a little bit to go and give it to our good man Jorge, who's helping us out with some electric work here. I'm going to sign off. Thank you for watching. That ran, I don't know, about 40 minutes or so. I've got several more videos that are going to come. Some of them are going to be really short and fast for like snacks and maybe some desserty type stuff that are super fast. This one was a longer one, right? This is a longer one with the potato bean salad and avocado jalapeno dressing dinner that I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Leave a comment below of what you thought. And hopefully I don't turn this off right now and go back and it says, we didn't hear you. We didn't hear you the whole time. Didn't hear you. That would suck. That would really suck. And now I'll clean up and get ready to have served dinner up here in a couple hours. But I'll probably let that just sit and kind of marinate in the fridge. And that's it. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to take you know what? I'm going to take a selfie right while I'm here live with you guys. Whoops, turned around. See, there's all of you right there on my screen over there. There. All right, gang. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Expect that I'll be doing this once a week. Maybe the same exact time. Haven't really figured out yet, but it might be Tuesdays, Thursdays at 2 o'clock. There it is. Oh, thank you, Jenny. Did you hear me talk about it? I was just telling them. I was just telling them that here's a small ball I've been dealing with. I got a big one coming, and look at that. Right as we're live here, my bride brings me my cooking bowl. Look at that damn thing. Oh, look at, you can see Jennifer in the reflection. There she is. Yay! Oh, look at that. Look at that. That is a 13 quart. If you're curious, that is a 13 quart mixing bowl. That is money. That is money. Let's make some more food. We're going to be making a lot of food with that. Thanks for watching, guys. Signing off. Thanks again. We'll see you. I'll be putting links down below for my recipe pack, so you can check those out. But this one is on there somewhere. You'll be able to find out to cook that on your own, and you can do it on your own and follow along with me on the video if you want to. Peace, love, and hugs. We'll see you next time.